BTS Festa 2021. I've checked out 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2022, so there's a gap in our festas that we need to fill. So I look forward to this one. Guys, BTS is a staple on this channel, and I'm glad you're here to experience them with me. And guys, as always, if you want to watch my uncut reaction to this video, all you need to do is go to my Patreon page. I've got all my uncut and exclusive BTS reactions over there. Appreciate you being here. Long anticipated. Let's get into this one.
하나, 둘, 셋.
하나, 둘, 셋.
하나, 둘, 셋. 남준이 최고의 리더. 리더.
Best friend.
우리 형. 리더. 리더. 귀여운 사람. 30. 맏형. 맏형.
I love how they're starting this out already. You know I'm a sucker for the boys talking about each other, complimenting each other, and just speaking so affectionately overall toward one another. It's one of the more beautiful things that I enjoy about BTS is the sincere appreciation and love they have for one another.
나. 더 바보 형. 둘째 형.
Oh, best brother.
달달하다. 할아버지.
둘째 맏형.
멋진 연예인.
친구 같은 형. 춤. 좋은 친구. 활발하다.
비타민. 셋째 맏형.
I like that Suga called him a vitamin. The way I interpret that, he's kind of like a happy pill, which is, I think, how a lot of people in the fandom interpret Hobie.
나.
너 친구. 친구.
매력남.
신기하다.
잘생김.
많이 성숙해진 내 동생.
나.
맞는 개.
내 동생.
요 근래 가장 이뻐진 내 동생.
근육남.
근육이 많다.
근육몬. 진. 진.
비? 진영, 태영이, 정국이.
팬들이 붙여준 별명.
저저.
Jin, he's mastered the arrogant sarcasm. He leans into it. He just leans into it. That's what makes it uniquely Jin's humor. It's this subtle grin with this overt arrogance that has an undertone of sarcasm, and it just works so well.
좀 느름.
계속해서 내가 해야 할 의무.
정석. 내 세상.
노락파.
그것도 열심히 해야지.
나쁘지 않은. 좀 느름. 재밌음.
공연하고 싶다.
생각보다 좀 한다.
언젠가는 맞닿고 싶은 불멸의 존재.
재밌어. 더 잘하고 싶다.
The perfectionist in Jim in there, and that's a perfect Jungkook answer. He loves it. He loves it. He loves to perform. This is a great little setup for Festa, isn't it? Just like these sort of one-word, one-sentence responses to these quick-fire questions. I think this is awesome. I love it. It's just a real kind of positive mood, isn't it? Like the whole vibe is positive. And it's just fun watching them switch from kind of being funny in their responses and joking around to being a little more thoughtful and sincere. It's almost like with Jin in particular, I know I'm kind of pointing him out, but when there's something that he may feel that he needs to get better at, he's kind of hard on himself. It feels like I should be better at this. I should do this. I want to work toward this. But something that he knows he's good at, he owns that completely. But in the same breath, he's honest about the things that he wants to improve at, and you can kind of feel that he's hard on himself, even in these kind of fun little moments. Performance, yeah.
하고 싶다.
곱하기 2.
좋아함.
너무 하고 싶다.
그립다.
하고 싶음.
아미.
있는 듯 없는 듯. 아니다, 꽤 있는 듯이었다.
우리 멤버들. 멤버. BTS.
마이 멤버.
제이홉. RM. 슈가.
딱히?
2000년도 MP3.
더 많은 시간.
공연하기.
가지고 싶은 것 용기와 믿음.
사랑.
아, 다 가져가지고.
I love how Hobie can switch in and out of really being thoughtful and sincere and like serious in his responses to just joking around really easily. I mean, they all do that so well. I think that's one of the beautiful things about watching BTS and the fun that we have watching them is their ability to switch in and out of just being super light and fun and then right away being thoughtful and sincere. I think they all embody that in some way. And I'm seeing it in Hobie here. But it's fun, like just watching them. I haven't watched a Festa for a while and I'm already super into this. And it just kind of hit me when their song that's playing right now just kicked in and you kind of just get like absorbed by the vibe of BTS. It kind of puts you in a zone, doesn't it? I know a lot of you can relate to this. It just sort of puts you in a zone. And for a lot of people, I can see it just being your happy place or one of your happy places. And I can certainly relate to that right now. It's just, you kind of get absorbed in their world and this feeling comes over you and you're just kind of in a happy place.
방탄?
숨쉬기. 잠자기.
내일 잘하는 거.
까불기.
멍 때리기.
딱히 없음?
방탄을 제외한 대부분의 것.
가만히 있기. 노래.
컨디션 관리 못하는 거.
생각 없애기.
Man, they're so honest, aren't they?
주의 얘기를 못 듣기.
영어.
There you go.
외계인. 아미.
Army.
Myself.
Myself. Yeah, he does.
저 자신이요.
Yeah.
만들어 갈 수 있다.
Yes.
나 자신.
To me, that's why they're inspiring. Number one is their belief in themselves. I love that. RM being, you know, a guy who is really inspiring for me. I think he leads the way, and I think he led the way early on with BTS and his massive belief in himself, and that's inspiring.
자신 있는 분야 시키는 거. 그건 웃기는 거. 프리댄스로.
음색.
춤?
Yeah.
우리 멤버들. 성격. 공연.
집착 좋아해요. 미술관.
노래. 좋아하는 거.
This is great.
조금은 필요한 거.
아, 집착을 잘 안 하는 타입이라 자주 까먹어서.
집착 안 합니다.
Nice.
음을 요새 잘 때 꿈을 잘 안 꿔서 간만에 꿈꿔보고 싶어요.
많은 것들을 부딪혀보고 싶은 게 내 꿈?
공연.
올해 방탄하기. 이루어진다. 언젠간 이루어지는 것.
I'm like loving Hobie's answers here. Like Hobie's sort of taking this seriously. Suga as well. You know, Suga's so honest. I love it. But Hobie, he's really taking this seriously, and I'm just finding him to be very inspiring right now as well. You just kind of, for me, see the belief all over Hobie's face. I'm sort of getting glimpses of the Hobie that we're seeing now performing at Lollapalooza here. Like the wheels are probably starting to turn here, and he's one of these guys that he's so humble. He's always first to give other people the spotlight and the attention, and he does it quietly. Like his inspiration is sort of under the radar, but if you really follow him closely and you really look closely, you get to see how inspiring he is. I don't think he dwells on things as much as the other guys do. He stays positive, moves forward. You know, it's rare that you see him ever really complain, I don't think. He's a rock, and he's as humble as they come.
안 오는 거.
정답은 없다.
No right answer.
행복하게 사는 거.
제 미래 엔딩은 항상 석양 보면서 비치 체어에 앉아 있는 것. 나도 모르겠다. 방탄소년단.
Oh man, did that bring a tear to anyone else's eye? Does anyone else get goosebumps from that? Suga saying BTS is the future. You know, Suga doesn't always show it, but he's got such a big heart, man. This is a great segment. I was not expecting this. I was expecting just another dinner conversation, which is awesome, but I wasn't expecting this cool little segment here. And I love the simplicity in Jin's answer too.
소경 보면서 빛이 체어에 앉아 있는 것.
Jin, from day one, he just struck me as such a everyday, relatable, normal guy. He's one of the guys I said I'd just love to have a beer and hang out with Jin because it wouldn't feel like you're hanging out with a superstar. BTS.
대박.
축제처럼 준비할 걸 많지만 그 기간만큼은 확실히 즐길 수 있다.
매년 오는 축제.
우리들의 축제.
You gotta laugh at Suga sometimes, right? Like,
확실히 즐길 수 있다.
매년 오는 축제.
우리들의
so
축제.
matter of fact. It happens every year.
네, 여러분 이번 페스타 주제 혹시 뭔지 아시나요?
뭡니까?
어떤 건가요?
우리입니다.
우리
Cool.
세 권의 키워드 책만을 보면서 함께 이야기를 펼쳐 나가 볼 건데요. 키워드를 보고 떠오르는 우리의 기억들에 대해 자유롭게 이야기를 해주시면 굉장히 좋을 것 같습니다.
자유로운데?
좋습니다.
Yeah, it feels like there's leadership in this festa coming from a few other guys, and I wonder if that's like, you know, over time, it's like let's take sort of that leadership pressure off of Namjoon's shoulders, and you hear Suga kind of leading the way a little here, and J-Hope as well, really seeing sort of his leadership skills come through. V too, like they're all over time getting more comfortable taking the lead in these types of settings, and you know, it's nice to see.
그 검색을 해보고요. 좀 찾아보고 약간 막 이런 거 하고 있어요. 그 물건이 어디서 나왔지? 약간 이런 것들.
약간 아이 쇼핑하면서
네. 근데 솔직히 말해서 쇼핑을 좋게 포장한 말이에요.
필요 없는데도 찾아보게 되죠.
네.
이거 굳이 필요할 때가 있을 텐데.
저는 요즘에 한이에게 친구를 만들어주고 싶어요.
방이 어때, 방이?
그래서 이제
방이 다니.
어머니는 너무 적극 찬성을 하고 아버지는 좀
네,
아니다.
아버님 제 거면 진짜 좋아하신다. 다음 키워드입니다.
Hobie's kind of deceptive if you just start with BTS, because you might think he's like the most outgoing, outspoken guy in the group who kind of leads the way, and that's because of his unbelievable energy. But you know, Hobie to me is more of a listener than he is a speaker. Like, he's listener first, and he likes to listen. He likes to sort of take the back seat and listen to other guys and appreciate them in a really sincere way. I love it.
뭐 옛날에 올렸던 거.
Cool.
저희 맨날 붙어 있어가지고.
우리 뭔 얘기하냐?
사실 단톡방에서 뭐 하려면
진짜 필요한 이야기들만.
저희 뭐 가끔 뭐
Sugar is so honest.
웃긴 밈들 올리고 웃긴 뭐 유튜브에서
근데 솔직히 말하면은 제일 활발한 것 같아요. 제 하루에 누군가 연락하는 게 이제 톡방밖에 없으니까.
우리 그렇게 뭘 말 많이 하지 않잖아.
근데 뭐 좋은 거
생각보다.
나왔을 때 막 야 이거 봐봐라.
맞아, 무대 같은 거 정도 많이 올려.
저스틴 비버 야.
계속 가까이 있으니까.
They let us into their lives so much, but there's still mystery there, which is nice. Like, there's still mystery. Like, we don't really know exactly everything that's going on in the group chat. Like, that's their thing that they get to have with themselves. Yeah, they shared, you know, in general, what they may talk about. They share some memes, some Justin Bieber performance that they like, but, you know, there's still parts of what they do that are a mystery, and it's for them and them alone, and that's nice, right? Like, it's nice to have that, not only for them, but it's kind of fun and exciting for us to think about as well. Like, it's nice to have some mystery there.
그때 슈가 형이 진짜 너무 울어가지고.
아니야, 뭔 소리야.
야, 윤기 엄청 울었지.
용기 형이 한 번 울잖아요. 그럼 수도꼭지.
펑펑 울었어. 오열했어, 오열.
왜 그래? 나는
잡을 수가 없어.
나는
끼끼가
그날
기민이가 갑자기 울길래 왜 울나 싶더라고.
형도 같이 울었잖아요, 옆에서.
뭔
이랬잖아요, 저 안으면서. 나도 사실 그랬어 이러면서 막 울었잖아요.
남준이 형도 울 때 진짜 나 너무 가슴이 찡했던 게.
나도 많이 울었지.
When you see your leader cry, the guy who, you know, seems to have it all together, when you see him kind of break down, I'm sure that hits you hard. And I love how they kind of ganged up on Yoongi there for crying. That was great.
에, 뭐
세수할 때 귀찮아가지고 손으로 이렇게 하는 게 귀찮아가지고 수도꼭지 재고 이렇게 멀고 같아.
나 이거 듣고 나 진짜 나 이거 듣고
진짜 그런 사람 있을까? 그래서 이제 친구한테 물어봤다. 나도 어릴 때 해봤어 이런 애들이 꽤나 많더라고.
이 형은 이 어깨를 갖고 지금.
아니 근데 이게 문제가 있는 게 이렇게 하다가 눈을 감고 있잖아요. 이렇게 탁 들다가 여기 봐가지고 혹이 났었어요.
헉 날만하네 그거.
최근에 찐닭에 너무 꽂혀가지고.
찜닭?
JK throwing some little jabs in there, you know, just quietly throwing some jabs in there. He's been a little on the quieter side in this Festa so far.
마지막으로 이제 저 여기 이마 오른쪽 여기 가렵습니다.
자, 축하드리고요.
아 진짜 가려웠습니다.
다음 키워드 8살 8주년입니다. 이 사진이 2014랑 2021이 이렇게 나와 있는데 여기 쌩얼에다가 막 뭐냐?
Hobie's the biggest hype man, isn't he? So good to have Hobie in your corner.
아니 저는 그냥 갑자기 생겼어.
Just those like moments where he gets super excited and laughs, like earlier with Suga and just now with Jimin. Like he just loves the guys and he shows it in such an obvious, expressive way. That's why I love Hobie, and I think that's why a lot of people gravitate toward Hobie, because he just appreciates the people in his life. And he's not afraid to show it. He shows it so sincerely.
우리가 비비 발랐잖아.
아래로 하잖아.
근데 진짜 너무 옛날 일이라서 막 기억이 가물가물하다.
지금 생각하면 진짜 막 이렇게 하는 게 있는데 막 우리 이걸로 하기로 했잖아요. 그래서 인사로 우리 형도 이렇게 하고 있으니 손등으로 이렇게 미치는 거예요. 남주 형이 진짜 마음에 들어 했었어요. 야 그거 멋있는데? 막 이러면서
우리 그것도 있어요. 아니 그때는 뭔가 그런 게 좀 인상을 남겨야 된다.
I love how all of them are so close with one another. You know, you can take any of these dynamics, they're all close. You notice like Jimin looks at Hobie a lot, especially in this dinner. He's been looking at Hobie a lot when he's talking about his story. He's almost exclusively addressing J-Hope. It could be just that they're sitting across from each other, but J-Hope responds to you. You know you're going to get a listening ear when J-Hope's in the room. And what I sense from Jimin a lot of the time is he's conscious of the eyeballs on him. And it's not necessarily as obvious with some of the other guys who just feel like the cameras are just there and they're not even really conscious of it.
있었어야 됐잖아. 근데 저는 맨날 밤이면 새벽마다 탈출을 해가지고 그 공원 한 거리 걸으면서
학동공원.
네, 이게 그때 학동공원 아니었어요.
이게 청춘.
네, 맨날 탈출해가지고 이게 청춘이지. 이때를 이렇게 즐기다니 막 이러면서 막 이랬죠.
다들 영화 한 편 찍으셨네요 그때. 소름 돋는 영화네.
우리가 단짠단짠.
I think Jin might battle with this life the most because of how much he just likes to live simply. And this is the opposite of a simple life. You just hear glimpses throughout these conversations of Jin just like fantasizing about a simple life. But now that he's sort of discovering his own voice even more and doing his own thing, I think he's really leaning into it in a way that really suits him. Like I mentioned this before, that Jin feels like it's almost like he's learning how to be himself even more now. And he sort of had the comfort of being amongst his brothers here. But now that he's on his own, having to interact in social environments by himself, sort of like forcing himself to step outside of his comfort zone and almost rediscover who he is and get comfortable with himself in a different way.
16, 17년도 이 세 개의 연도 동안 정말 저희나 이제 팬들이나 이제 욕을 많이 먹었죠. 고생도 많이 하고 아미들은 저희를 이제 뭔가 감싸주시려고 너무 열심히 사실 마음고생 하신 게 있고 저희도 저희대로 정말 이를 갈고 열심히 했잖아요. 네. 컨텐츠도 만들고 열심히 하고 그 3년의 그 시간들이 사실은 되게 컸던 것 같아요.
RM's like the master of self-reflection, you know? He really is. Always in self-reflection mode. And that's one of the things I love about him, and one of the things I like about his style as well. I think it helps him understand who he is. Like I look at RM as a guy who really thinks about who he is. And I think part of that comes from how much he reflects on the things that he likes, the things that he's learned from, the things that were difficult in his past. I think he's just very, very aware of the things that have shaped him. And as a result, he just has a much better understanding of who he is and why he is the way he is. And I think that all contributes to why he's such a good communicator to a degree. Because he knows who he is, so he can speak from an honest place. There's just so much we can learn from him.
주경기장이 진짜 나
왜냐면 이제 풋볼 경기장들은 경기장 자체가 좀 작고, 근데
좌석이 엄청 많은 거니까.
주경기장은 이제 경기장도 경기장대로 큰데 옆에 트랙이 있잖아. 트랙까지 있어가지고
뭔가 더 커버.
큰것 같아.
일단 이름부터 좀 폼이 나요. 잠실 주경기장.
주 경기장.
뭐 언젠가는 이제 주경기장을 다시 느낄 순간이 오지 않을까.
그러니까.
빨리 종식이 돼서
다시 가자.
자, 다음
Now, I talk about Jungkook's excitement to perform. I think Hobie's right up there in terms of his excitement to get up there and perform.
이제 비행기를 많이 타다 보니까 힘들었었는데 이게 돌이켜 보면 또 이제 막 하고 싶다.
사람이 간사한 거야.
네가 진짜 간사해. 막 비행기 한번 타보고 싶고.
사람이 정말 사긴 하네.
근데 또 하잖아. 비행기 힘들다.
비행기 힘들지.
아니 나는 근데 난 투어 기간을 되게 좋아했었던.
And I know that's a little thing, but even right there, like Suga just made a little joke. He was singing to a lyric that he sang because there was a word that was familiar to him in a song, and then Hobie took that split second to acknowledge Suga's little singing there, right? Like,
사람이 정말 사긴 하네.
근데 또 하잖아.
he'll take that extra second to acknowledge you.
비행기 힘들다.
비행기 힘들지.
아니 나는
He's right there with that, and then V says something, and he turns right to V, right? He's with all the guys. He's present with them.
못한다는 게 사실 되게 아쉬웠어요. 다음 투어를 혹시 기획한다면 그런 스케줄도 짬짬이 해가지고 하면 더 즐거운 투어가 되지 않을까.
맞아요. 사실 지금 또 어떻게 보면 다이너마이트랑 또 버터라는 곡이 또 나오면서 해외 팬 여러분들도 좀 친숙한 뭔가 그런
흘러나오고 있는 노래. 그리고 그 올릴 때 사람 수가 많으니까 쫙 하면서 이게 액션이 돼요. 그런데 내용.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's almost exclusively talking to Hobie, right? And then I like what Jin said before about wanting to take time to himself and expressing the importance of, hey, well, next time we go on tour, let's do some things that we like to do. I like that mentality.
처음에 이 사람들이 어떻게 이 타이밍을 다 맞출까? 약속이라도 한 듯이 이랬는데 뒤에 아미 타임이라고 뜨더라고요.
아니야. 슬로건 뒤에 적혀 있어요.
그래도 적혀있고 위에서 아미 타임.
And you tell me, is that something that Jin said before? Is that something that he's talked about before? Is that something that seems important to him? Guys, let's, as hard as we work, we need to reward ourselves a little. We need to have some fun. We need to enjoy our time. And I like that. I think he's a key part of the group for that reason.
이거 공동체라니까 이거는. 아니 뭐 저희의 뭐 성적 이런 것들이 저희만 뭐 잘해서 낼 수 있는 것들이 아니잖아요.
절대 아니죠.
저희랑 뭐 아미가 진짜 너무 큰 힘을 주고 아미들이 다 뒤에서 힘을.
What happened there with V? All the records we've achieved are not just us as Jin.
이런 것들이 저희만 뭐 잘해서 낼 수 있는 것들이 아니잖아요.
절대 아니죠.
V's like confirming what Jin said. Not at all. This is like equally ARMY. Not at all. Like V making that a point. Jin bringing the point up, but V like really solidifying that.
뭐 아미가 진짜 너무 큰 힘을 주고 아미들이 다 뒤에서 힘을 써주시고 다 만들어주신 결과라고 저는 생각해요. 그래가지고 뭔가 이렇게 저희가 이룬 이런 것들이.
It's almost like V's like maybe in a way defensive over ARMY. Like
절대 아니죠.
저희랑
it seems to me like he can kind of get most emotional about ARMY, and I've seen glimpses of it, but he can get defensive. I think he can get really passionate about ARMY in that way. This is something I want to watch more. I want to watch more of their V Live so I can get a relationship of how they speak directly to their audience. But I think I feel most connected to Yoongi when he's addressing ARMY. Like, that's who I feel like I gravitate toward because I get just more of like, I don't know, a mature relationship with ARMY with Yoongi. It feels more honest for whatever reason to me.
만들어줬다는 걸 꼭 많은 사람들이 알아줬으면 좋겠어요.
요즘에 들어오신 아미 분들은 약간 뭔가 저의 콘서트를 아직 못 보셨잖아요. 그러니까 그 공연의 열기나 그런 것도 아직 모르실 테고.
그걸 봐야 되는데
진짜 저는
그거 보고 나면 딴 데 못 갑니다. 예? 딴 데 못 가요.
저 뭐 인정 못 합니다.
BTS 맛집 먹고 나면 딴 데 못 갑니다. 이거.
본인 아버지 얘기를 이렇게 하는.
네, 뭔가 보여주고 싶네요, 진짜.
저는 많은 걸 바라지 않습니다. 저희 아미 여러분들 눈을 보며 여러분들 목소리를 듣고 여러분들 앞에서 춤과 노래를.
Look how much Hobie's being entertained listening to Jungkook. He's loving it. He's loving it. I love what JK's saying here too.
눈을 보며 여러분.
Look at his confidence here. All I want to do is make eye contact with ARMY while making eye contact with ARMY.
정국이 울어? 그날만 기다리고 있습니다, 여러분.
야, 울어.
정국이 울어? 보고 싶습니다, 여러분.
이 한 분 한 분의 얘기들이 사실 되게 궁금하거든요.
아,
어떻게 아미가 됐는가.
맞아요.
입덕객 이런 거 궁금해.
이 사람 어떤 꿈이 있고 어떤 일을 하고 있고 어디에서 살고 있고 그곳에 생활은 어떤지 사실 이런 게 되게 궁금해요. 한 명 한 명이. 언젠가는 우리가 뭐 한 분 한 분의 얘기를 들을 수 있는 날이 오지 않을까?
아, 저는 올 거라고 생각해요. 네.
이 아미 분들과 이렇게 같이
Yeah, see again, V getting emotional. I'm certain that day will come. Again, I think V gets most emotional when it comes to ARMY. And I like what RM was saying. Like, I want to hear their stories. Like, you know, what do they do? You know, how did they become ARMY? What made them become a fan? Like, I actually relate to RM in that way. You know, because I am curious about those things too.
이 코로나 상황이 여러 가지 너무 지쳐서 저도 좀 신나고 싶었어요, 사실은. 그래서 저는 사실 버터라는 곡이 좋은 게 할 때 재밌어요, 신나요. 그 에너지가 정말 오프라인으로도 못 보여주는데 온라인으로라도 보여주려면 우리가 진짜 기분 좋고 신이 나야 되는데 정말 그 버터는 정말 모르겠고 일단 여름이고 우리가 원래 했었던 거, 우리가 좋아했던 거, 노래하고 춤추는 거, 뭐 어떤 사회적인 막 그런 것도 너무 좋지만 그냥 방탄이라고 생각했던 사람들이 생각하는 그 에너지를 다 담은 그게 그 버터의 메시지라고 생각해요, 저는.
Yeah, like the way RM communicates sometimes, like he's the one guy in the group that gives the context about each one of their songs. Suga will do this too. Like these are the two guys who will sort of get into the meaning behind their music. He's time and time the person who in these festas brings the focus from them having a conversation with each other in a very natural way to him sort of addressing the audience more directly and explaining to ARMY and people that are watching, this is why we do things. So it's that awareness that is part of what makes him this really exceptional communicator.
이걸 들어보시면 막 메시지를 물어보실 것 같지는 않아요, 사실.
네.
야, 이렇게 정말 두 개의 책들을 보니까 1, 2년 사이에 저희한테 정말 많은 일들이 있었던 것 같아요.
많았죠.
네. 되게 이렇게 예상치 못했던 부분도 있지만 나름의 방법으로 이 상황을 헤쳐나가는 우리 아미와 그리고 또 우리 BTS 방탄소년단에게 박수를 한번 저희 쳐보자.
Cool here to see Jin kind of taking the lead in this way, and I think Jin's the guy in the group that makes it apparent to everyone the importance of just like being easier on themselves, not being so hard on themselves. He's got such a great sense of humor and he's always lightening up the mood. But I think this is where his maturity comes through, and it's not in this authoritative way. It's more like, guys, let's just give each other a round of applause. Let's give ourselves a round of applause here. It's not in an aggressive way. He's not like an authoritative type of leader. He does it in his own way, in his own gentle way. But Jin can certainly take the reins as a leader at times. And I think we see it in these moments, you know.
하면 이제 1분 동안 함성을 딱 듣는 거예요.
야, 형, 솔직히 말해서 오프닝 때 눈물 안 흘릴 것 같다고.
난 100% 운다.
아이, 울지.
눈물 버튼 이래가지고.
자, 다음은 방탄표 슬로건인데
방탄
뭘까요?
우리 현장에서 다시 만날 그날 아미들을 위해 슬로건을 만든다면
뭐 그런 거 있잖아. 나는 너의 버터, 너의 인생에 뭐 풍미를 더해줄게. 이런 거 있잖아.
약간 진영스러운.
뭐 요즘 생각 좀 했나 봐.
V likes seeing emotion out of people. I think I've heard him comment a couple times through this video about someone crying, whether it be RM or Yoongi or maybe it was Jimin. V's a deeply emotional person. He's very deep, right? We've talked about how connected he is to that inner child and just how raw he can be at times and just unfiltered and he's just got a real genuine raw softness to him. There's probably a part of him that enjoys seeing the vulnerability come out of the other guys. Like I think he kind of gets a kick out of it.
뭐 미래 일은 진짜 모르는 거니까.
아, 나 2022년 6월 13일에는 진짜 다들 마스크를 안 쓰고 다니는 날.
저는 뭐 우리도 우리지만 그냥 이 상황이 좀
그렇죠.
뭐 종식까지도 안 바라고 그냥 뭔가 좀 많이 달라져서 어떻게든 뭔가가 여기서 나아갔으면 좋겠다.
종식됐을 때는 되게 맑은 하늘에 되게 뭔가 되게 하늘이 되게
화창했으면
아마
좋겠다.
기적처럼
봄이었으면 좋겠다.
And I love V's soft way of communicating. He's very comfortable right now with himself. He's calm. He just seems like every word that he speaks is just coming from such an honest place. And he just looks real happy here.
또 인생 2회차 해가지고 조금 더 열심히 잘. 어렸을 때 사실 뭔가 이 배움이 조금 더 빠르잖아요.
맞아. 나도
안 돼요, 형. 지금 가면은
형 지금
5살부터 물고 나서서 샤워할 거잖아요.
영어 공부 좀 하고 돌아가면.
Earlier in this conversation, Jin was joking around about doing a handstand in the shower, and Jimin sort of brought that up because it made sense in that moment in the conversation. I love that. I love when people do that, and I think that's something that we can take away and learn how to connect with people better by doing that, is bringing something up that they've acknowledged or said in the past, whether it's earlier in the conversation or earlier in your relationship with that person. It shows the person. So in this moment, Jimin's showing Jin that he wants to connect with him. He listened to what he said. He thought what he said earlier was funny. And Jin seeing that Jimin acknowledged that. I know it's a little thing. I think that goes a long way.
네, 저는 정말 솔직하게 썼어요. 일단 첫 번째는 나는 오래오래 공연을 하고 싶다가 첫 번째입니다. 그리고 나는 오래오래 행복하게 살고 싶다가 두 번째고요. 오래오래 내 주위 모두가 건강했으면 좋겠다가 세 번째입니다. 그리고 네 번째는 모두가 부러워하는 아빠가 되고 싶다가 네 번째입니다. 그리고 다섯 번째는 나는 정말 좋은 사람이 되고 싶다가 다섯 번째입니다.
So sincere from Tae. So sincere. I love the little dad reference too. Cool. He'd be a great dad.
뽑습니다.
자, 저도 심플해요. 저는 딱 5개의 소원을 딱 5글자씩 적었습니다. 코로나 종식, 콘서트 재개, 투어를 개최, 우리의 건강, 우리의 행복.
거기 랩거든요, 왜?
네, 이게 끝입니다.
세계의 평화 뭐 이런 거.
콘서트 재개?
No way.
아미분들이 이제 바라는 위시노트의 내용은 어떨지 너무 궁금한데요. 리버스에 올려주시면 제가 꼭 보겠습니다.
발표하세요, 발표. 추억의 물건과 기억.
Like if someone came after ARMY, I feel like V would be the first guy to like take a bullet for them. These are my kids.
물건을 어떻게 보면 아미랑 이게 방탄 사이에 이제 추억의 물건, 추억이 있는 물건이라고 해가지고.
미쳤다 진짜.
네, 저는 사실 이 곰돌이 피규어는 제가 데뷔를 하고 나서 처음으로 관심 가지게 된 하나의 뭔가 소장품 같은 그런 거였는데, 어떻게 보면은 그때는 또 팬분들의 선물이 굉장히 소중했잖아요. 근데 처음으로 받은 선물이었었던 것 같아요. 그래서
저도 똑같은 거 있어요, 저거.
네, 곰돌이 피규어에 대해서 굉장히 또 어떻게 보면은
Very different vibe, this Festa, isn't it? Different vibe than all the rest. Like, notice that there's no food here. So I feel like there's less distractions in a way. Like, J-Hope seems way more engaged throughout this whole conversation. And I think when he starts drinking, he kind of takes a back seat often. Here, he's being more expressive, more talkative. He's contributing a little bit more. It almost feels like, though, when Hobie speaks, like, I think I might have mentioned this before, but he exerts a certain amount of energy when he speaks, that it feels like he's putting that energy on more than comes natural to him. Like when V's speaking, in contrast, doesn't feel like he's doing anything extra. You know, when Hobie speaks, I think he's speaking honestly, but it feels like there's more of like an energy exertion.
10년도까지 했을 거예요.
네, 그래가지고 이 확성기로 사실 아미 분들이랑 소통을 하고 이야기를 하고 했었던 물건이라서 그 시절에 뭔가 그렇게 할 수 있었다라는 게 좀 되게 신기하기도 하고, 이렇게 팬 여러분들이랑 소통도 했구나 라는 게 좀 뭔가 새겨져 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 하나의 추억의 물건이 아닌가라는 생각이 듭니다.
그 시절을 기억하며 이걸로 아미 한번
No battery power.
오케이.
Yeah, like there V goes again, trying to incite some emotion. He'll do that. He'll try to evoke some real emotion and some real connection out of the other guys. in his group. I can relate to V in that way. Like, he likes connection, he likes vulnerability, he likes all that real emotional stuff.
저는 아미에 대한 추억이라고 생각을 못했어요.
아니 뭐 방탄의 추억이라도 되죠.
이거는 이제 이게 본집에 있어가지고 제가 스케줄 때문에 본집에 못 가가지고 네, 사진으로 구해왔습니다. 이게 처음으로 아빠가 저에게 사준 시계인데요. 스위스 여행 갔을 때 이제
Looking at V's body language and his tone, I think there's something we can take away here. Look how comfortable he is. When people don't feel like they're rushing through their speech, it gives the impression that they're a lot more comfortable in the spotlight. They're a lot more comfortable and confident speaking. V doesn't feel rushed. He's looking around at everyone. He's engaging everyone. He's taking his time. He's speaking from the heart. There's a real calm, comfort, and presence to Tae when he's speaking right now.
옛날에는 모땡
It all feels very much from the heart.
진짜요?
네, 저는 이게 고등학교
And I think that's because he listens to himself. V makes it a point to be true to himself, to be honest with himself, to pursue the things that feel real to him. I think that plays into his communication. So I think that, again, when you think about why we gravitate to certain people, it's that authenticity, it's that authentic communication. Well, what makes someone authentic? How do you become authentic? I think it's paying attention to who you are. That's a theme throughout this video. RM's showcase that, but V showcases that all the time. And he's talked about that in the past. He talked about that in his Behind story.
치고 잤었어요.
그런 사람도 있어. 진짜.
왜냐면은 옛날에 초등학교 때부터 제가 혼자 이렇게 상상을 하면서 잤었어요. 이렇게. 그래서 이렇게 하면은 이제 잡생각도 안 들고 그래서 자서.
왜 웃으세요?
아니 나는 공감이 돼서요.
아니 저
어렸을 때 한 번쯤은 뭐
청소기 틀고 자는 사람도 있고.
네, 그런 경험 있지 않아요?
진짜요?
저는 옛날 축구선수 웨인 루니가 청소기 틀고 자요.
제가 이거를 한
Jimin is hyper aware, similar to RM, but Jimin will like notice your little facial expressions that change, and you know, a change in your tone. Like, Jimin will call you out for it and acknowledge that. Like, Jimin, out of all the guys, might be watching you the most and might be the most in tune to the little nuance in your personality and the little minuscule changes in your tone and your facial expressions. Jimin's really tuned in. I think he's got an excellent ability to read people.
난 베개 안고
애착이나 뭐 애착 인형 막 이런 거.
난 지금도 베개를 안고 자고 있어가지고.
Me too. I need to hold a pillow to go to sleep too. Cookie.
이거는 좀 최근이고 이거는 향초는 제가 워낙 그냥 좋아해가지고
향이 예민하죠 우리 종국이가.
이거 틀어놓고 그냥 좀 조명 어둡게 해놓은 다음에 노래 틀어가지고 앉아 있으면은 기분이 매우 좋아가지고 그래서 이거 뽑았고 요거.
And I wonder if Jimin kind of uses that as a defense mechanism. Like, he's so good at reading people. He's so good at reading the situation and looking at people's facial expressions and their characteristics. Like, he's very in tune with that. You can almost see it now when he's looking at others. And I wonder if he uses that as a defense mechanism in a way, because, you know, he is at times guarded. It feels like it's just sort of a way to kind of put the attention on other people and deflect from himself and make the conversation about you, just in case he feels uncomfortable when the attention and the spotlight's on him. I know I can certainly relate to that. That's why I sort of can detect that in Jimin. That struggle for me to be vulnerable, part of that struggle allowed me to develop that skill of reading other people and making the attention and the conversation about them. And I wonder if that contributes to Jimin's communication skills in a way, and why he is, in fact, part of why he is, in fact, so good at reading people. And
요즘 노래방도 못 가잖아요. 싹 저 집에서.
코로나가 아닐 때도 혼자 노래방 가서
전원이 찾았습니다.
알겠어요. 그래가지고 노래방 못 가고 하니까 집에서 이렇게 좀 저철하게 노래 부르고 싶을 때, 노래방 가고 싶을 때 혼자서 노래 부르는 그런 추억이 있어요. 좋네요. 네.
love that. Love that.
아, 저는 사실 이 사진을
Jungkook's so fun, man. The more I see Jungkook, the more I'm seeing how funny he is, how funny he is.
샤워실 위에 있거든요.
He's just a unique guy as well who brings his own fun to the table. He sees people too. And like I said, I love the amount of respect he shows for the other guys. And he shows it through his sincere words, but he also shows it, I'm noticing now, through his teasing.
진짜 찐 추억이다 이거는.
진짜 이쁘다 이거는.
얼마 안 된 것 같은데 되게 오래된 추억이다.
2년 거의 1년 반 됐죠.
와,
네.
더 오래됐네. 더 오래됐네. 와.
저는 이 몰타에서 샀던 이 가방 있잖아요.
아, 몰타.
네, 이거 아직도 가끔 들고 다니거든요. 이거
진짜요?
들고, 사실 저희가 뭐 여행을 그렇게 많이 다니진 않잖아요.
저 심지어 저도 돈가방 있어요.
아, 그 꽁무니.
I love how RM reacts to Jin. It almost feels like he doesn't know how to react to him half the time. And he's like, what's this guy gonna say? Like, in a way, Jin is predictable with his sarcasm, but you never really do know what's gonna come out of his mouth, what kind of joke he's gonna drop. So it's like RM, I feel like he's kind of like, what the hell is this gonna say, and how am I gonna respond to this? Because RM's like so in control, and he has such like a grasp over everything, and he likes being in control. I think there's an element of RM that likes knowing everything that's happening and having a control on everything. So it's funny, I feel like Jin kind of throws him out of that element of control. He kind of throws him off his game very, very slightly.
진짜 깨끗해요.
아직도 있어요?
입고 다닌다니까요.
아 진짜로? 와 대박이네요.
그리고 이거 핸드폰으로 보여드려도 되나? 이거 하나는 뭐 잘 아시는 건데 이거
뭐 저거 뭔지 몰라 이거?
우리 롯데월드 갔던 거.
See, again, I apologize if you hear the lawnmower in the back. It's extremely annoying right now. Again, Jimin like almost talking directly to Hobie here. Look how engaged Hobie is. Seriously, really? Like, Hobie just shows so much enthusiasm and takes so much interest in the other guys and the things that the other guys are interested in. It's such a blessing. I honestly, I can't say it enough how underrated of a trait that is. How important of a trait that is in a person and a friend. To just show that much interest, curiosity, and excitement in all the little things that you do. That's one of the things that got me into communication, was my uncle. And my uncle really taking an interest in me. Now, I haven't really opened a lot on this channel about my history and my family and all that. Maybe we'll save that for another time. But my uncle was really there for me at a time where I needed him, and he showed me so much curiosity and interest in all the little things that I did. That meant the world to me. And that really, in a way, inspired me, I didn't know it at the time, to take the path that I'm currently on. So I see that in Hobie as well.
네, 여러분, 팔을 오른쪽으로
Infinity.
뭐가 되는 줄 아십니까? 바로 메비우스의 티, 무한대가입니다. 앞으로도 우린 영원하고 우리의 시간은 끝없이 무한하다는 의미인 거죠.
또 예전에 매직샵 주인장이었잖아요. 마무리 인사를 또 제안하겠습니다.
좋아요.
손 모으시죠.
오케이.
방방탄 하고 아미 보라에까지 딱. Let's get it.
자, 방탄소년단과 아미의 여정은 앞으로도 계속됩니다.
아미 보라해.
That was great. That was great. There's a lawnmower going on right next to me, so I might have to pause for a second before I give you my final thoughts here. Give me a second. That was just sort of I would say, a positive, lighthearted, fun festa that, for me, helped me connect with the boys a little bit more. Seeing the love they have for one another. They all just seemed very comfortable here. You know, it's good to see them all come into their own. We just saw a lot of leadership here from a lot of the guys. Really, really nice video, and I love the way it started with those little individual segments as well. So a great festa. Guys, as always, if you want to watch my uncut reaction and analysis, you can go straight to my Patreon page. All my uncut reactions and exclusive BTS content are over there on Patreon. Other than that, my name is Max. I appreciate you being here. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.